See, please listen carefully now how to calculate these float values. If you look at any textbook, if you go through any textbook, you will see some formulas to calculate these float values. Again, I am requesting you, please don't remember those formulas or any equations. I will be giving you some simple diagrammatic representation. If you follow that particular diagrammatic representation, then you can easily calculate any type of float. So till now in the GATE examination, they have asked us to calculate total float and free float. But you can calculate any type of float if you remember one diagram which I am going to give you now. So you cannot see this particular diagram in any textbook. So in any textbook you cannot see this diagram. So in all the textbooks they have given some formulas for calculating these values. Please don't remember those formulas. Okay. So whatever the diagrammatic representation which I am giving you now, you just follow this diagrammatic representation. It will be very helpful for you. So ultimately in the GATE examination you have to remember so many formulas from all the subjects, right? So please try to avoid remembering formulas as much as possible, because some situations will be there where you have to definitely remember formulas, but here you can avoid remembering formulas. Just remember some diagrammatic representation and it will help you a lot in calculating any type of float values. Okay, so let's have a look at that particular diagrammatic representation. So after giving this diagrammatic representation, I will give you the definitions of these floats also, no need to worry. So from this point to this point, so we call this as total float plus Dij value. So from here to here, so just I am giving you diagrammatic representation instead of formulas. So from here to here it will be total float plus Dij, and from here to here it will be free float plus Dij, and from this point to this point it will be independent float plus. Okay, so total float plus Dij, it will be total float, right? So you see that is why it is from this point to this point, total float plus Dij, free float plus Dij, independent float plus Dij. Okay, so now I am just writing total float plus Dij value as total float plus Dij is equal to Lj minus Ei. Lj minus Ei. Total float plus Dij, it will be Lj minus Ei, and free float plus Dij, it will be Ej minus Ei. And next independent float plus Dij, it will be represented as Ej minus Li. Fine. So if you remember this particular diagrammatic representation, you can calculate any type of float value. So total float will be from this point to this point. So total float plus Dij is equal to Lj minus Ei, and free float plus Dij is equal to Ej minus Ei, and independent float plus Dij, it will be Ej minus Li. Fine. Now coming to the definitions of these particular floats. Already I have given you the definition for the total float. So it is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity. Okay. So what is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity without affecting the completion time of the project? That will be your total float value. Now coming to the free float value. Okay. So free float value, it is also the delay period. Free float value, again it is also the delay period of an activity, but you should delay that particular activity in such a way that that delay period should not affect the earlier start time of the next succeeding activity. Okay. So if you look at this point here, so we have taken free float from this point to this point. Now this will be the earliest finish time Ej, this will be the earliest finish time for this particular activity, but let us say there is one more activity, succeeding activity, and this earliest finish time for this activity will be the earliest start time for the next activity. Fine. So if you stop at this particular point, what will happen? You are delaying only up to this particular point. Okay. That means you are not affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity. Now if you are delaying this particular activity like total float up to this point, what will happen? So if you are completing this activity at latest finish time, then what will happen? Your succeeding activity will start by latest start time. If you are finishing this activity at latest finish time, what will happen? Succeeding activity will start at latest start time, which you should avoid. Okay. So succeeding activity or the next activity should start at earliest start time. So only up to that particular point you can delay. That's why we are stopping at this particular point. Hope you have understood free float. Now coming to the independent float. So in independent float, what we are doing is, it is also same. You should not affect the earliest start time of the next succeeding activity, assuming that your preceding activity has been completed at latest finish time. Even if your preceding activity is completing at latest finish time, you are not affecting the earliest start time of the next succeeding activity. So how can we do like this? I mean, you can increase your number of resources and you can quickly finish your activity. Fine. So even if your activity is getting completed at, even if the preceding activity is getting completed with latest finish time, you should end that particular activity with earliest finish time. You are starting this activity at latest start time, but you are finishing it at earliest finish time. That means you are providing some extra resources and you are finishing it at earliest finish time. Okay. So these are the definitions for these float values. So depending on how much time you are delaying, okay. So these are classified into three types: total float, free float and independent float. So again, whenever you go to textbooks, you will be seeing some formulas like this. No need to remember any formulas. Just remember this particular diagrammatic representation. You can calculate any type of float value. So please copy these terms and this diagrammatic representation. Then I will dictate you the definitions for these three float values. Fine. So if you are having doubts, anything regarding this, you can ask, or maybe after solving questions, all of your doubts will be cleared. Okay. So please don't worry about the doubts. After solving questions on this, all of your doubts will be cleared. Okay. Fine. So anyways, if you are asking any valid doubts now, I will take those doubts. So I am seeing that some of you are asking. So total float, I think it is clear. Maybe free float, I will repeat again. So just you should not affect the earliest start time of the succeeding activity. So without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity, how much you can delay this activity, that delay period is free float. Again here also, without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity, assuming that your preceding activity has been completed at latest finish time, how much delay you can do this particular activity, that is your independent float. Okay. So copy these things, I will dictate the definitions, then we will solve numericals, then it will be very clear to you after solving numericals. Fine. So please let me know after copying this, if you are done. Okay. So please write down the definitions for floats. Keep writing total float, and write down. It is the maximum permissible delay period. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed, without affecting the project completion time. Without affecting the project completion time. So I am just repeating this definition again. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed without affecting the project completion time. So please respond. Is it clear? Copy it, or should I repeat again? It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed without affecting the project completion time. Right? Now keep the heading free float. It is the delay period of an activity. It is the maximum delay period of an activity. It is the maximum delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed. It is the maximum delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed, without affecting the earliest start time, of the succeeding activity. Without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity. So I am just repeating this statement again. So it is a maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity. Fine. So next keep writing independent float. Independent float. It is the maximum permissible delay period. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed. It is the maximum permissible delay period of an activity within which it can be delayed without affecting the earliest start time, without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity, without affecting the earliest start time of the succeeding activity, assuming that the preceding activity has been completed, with latest finish time. So simply you can write LFT, short forms you can use. Don't write entire statement. Okay. Assuming that the preceding activity has been completed at latest finish time. So these are the definitions for these floats, these total float, free float and independent float. Okay. Now using a question itself, we will try to understand what is forward pass rule and what is backward pass rule. Okay. And using the same question, we will see how to calculate this float values also. Already I have given some diagrammatic representation. So please do remember that diagrammatic representation. Okay. So by following the diagrammatic representation only, we will be calculating these different types of floats. Okay. So one more small concept is there, or else you can write down one more statement. Write down one more statement. All the float values in the sense, all these three float values, all the float values are 0 for critical activities. All the float values are 0 for critical activities. So one more term is there which is known as slack. So keep writing slack and write down the definition for slack. A slack is a permissible delay period of an event. Write down, a slack is a permissible delay period of an event. What is float? It is a permissible delay period of an activity. But what is slack? It is a permissible delay period of an event. Okay. So previously we have seen 3 p.m., 5 p.m., right? And else something example we have seen, right? So what is meant by slack? It is the permissible delay period of an event or node, you can say. So we are having two types of slacks. One is head slack and the other one is tail slack. So head slack, so what is this? This is your head node or head event. Okay. So head slack will be Lj minus Ej. And tail slack will be Li minus Ei. So please copy these two also. So again, till now there is no gate question from this particular topic. Maybe in future they can ask questions from this slack topic also. So very simple topic. So slack, it is a permissible delay period of an event or node. So we are having two types of slacks, which is head slack and tail slack. So head slack is, this is your head node, Lj minus Ej, it will be your head slack, and tail slack will be Li minus Ei. So please copy this also. Okay, so hope it is done. I'm just erasing this. Now just look at the question. Just go through this question and just try to draw the network diagram for this particular question. Okay, so just draw the network diagram. No need to find any critical path or anything. So other things I will do, I will solve. What is your part? You just have to draw the network diagram. Okay, so just try to draw the network diagram and I will tell you how to calculate these float values. Forward pass rule, backward pass rule, everything I will discuss using this particular example. So now just try to draw the network diagram. So let's draw the network diagram, okay. So AB are the activities which are not having any predecessors. So start them at a time, 1 to 2 and 1 to 3. So let us say it is activity A and B. So after completing A activity, I have to start activity C, and after completing B, I have to start activity D. So after completing C, I have to start E and F. So completing C, I have to start E and F, okay. And then after completing D and E, so D and E I have to complete. So join D and E at a single node. So after completing D and E, let us say this is node number 5. You have to start activity G like this. So join these two at a single node. Let us say it is 6. Okay. So this is your network diagram. So please check. Already I hope everyone has done correct. So maybe if you have done any mistake, please check. So this is your network diagram. Again, a very simple network diagram. No dummies, everything. Right. Now already you know this representation, right? So EI, LI, EJ, LJ representation. So I'm just taking these boxes here and write down the time periods also. Activity A, it is having time period of 2 days. B, it is 4. C, again it is 2. D, it will be 3. For activity E, it is 2. For F, it is 4. And for G, it is 5. Right? So I just have written the durations also along with the names of the activities, and I have taken this notation. Now please listen carefully. Now we are using forward pass rule, okay. So by using forward pass rule, we can calculate earliest start times and earliest finish times. Now I am just assuming that I am starting this particular activity at earliest start time, which is time t equal to 0. So at t equal to 0, I am starting my activity. So what will be earliest finish time? So 0 plus 2, it will be 2. So earliest start time is 0, earliest finish time will be 2. So now someone was asking, it is in terms of AM or PM. No, it is not AM or PM. It is just in terms of number of days here. Okay. So now, what about this one? So this will be 0 plus 2, it will be 2. Now this one, it will be 0 plus 4, it will be 4. Right. Now again it will be 2 plus 2, it will be 4. So earliest start time here it will be 2 and earliest finish time will be 4. Now for this activity it will be 4 plus 2, we can write maybe 6 here, or 4 plus 3, we can write 7 here. Now the question comes, which value should I write here? So please reply for this one. Should I have to take 6 here or 7? So with explanation, okay. So if I have to take 6, so why should I take 6? And if I have to take 7, then what is the reason why I have to keep 7 here? Okay. So maybe you might get confused between these terms. Okay. So Saurav Kumar, you was saying it is 7. Okay. So now give me the reason why 7. All activities are completed. Very good, Syed. 7 because G will be completed by time 7 finishes. Very good. All of you are saying correct answers. Very, very good. See, if I write 6 here, what will happen? Only activity E will be completed. Okay. Activity D will not be completed. But what this node number 5 represents? Node number 5 represents completion of activity E and activity D both. Okay. If I write 6 here, what will happen? I am just saying that activity E is completed, but activity D is not completed. Okay. So to complete activity D also, if I write 7 here, so within 6 days activity E will be completed, and within 7 days activity D will also be completed. So this node, as this node represents completion of both the activities, we have to write 7 here. Maximum value. So simply you can remember, so it may be any number of values here, okay, like 6, 7, 8 or any number of values. Among all those values, you have to write the, or you have to take the maximum value here. So next, so 4 plus 4 it will be 8, or 7 plus 5 it will be 12. So maximum value is 12 here. Okay. Now you just tell me what should I write here? Now this is your forward pass rule, okay. So some great name has been given to this rule, but it is very simple, okay. So this is known as forward pass rule. Using forward pass rule, we calculated all these values. Earliest starts and earliest finish times. Right? Now we are going, or we are taking, or we are using backward pass rule. So what should I write here? What should I write here? 12. Okay, very good. So why? What is the reason? Why we have to write 12 here? So we have to write 12 here. Okay, very good. You have given very good reason, very good answer. So we should know the reason also, right? So why I have to write 12 here? Okay. So the reason is, already I have discussed one more concept which is known as slack, right? Okay. So what is slack? Slack is the permissible delay period of an event. Okay. So what about floats? What about floats? Float is the permissible delay period of an activity, and for critical activities, float values are 0. Similarly, for the critical events, slack values should also be 0 because you cannot delay critical events. Definitely your last event and your first event will be critical events. Okay. So for critical events, slack value should be 0. So 12 minus 12, it should be 0. Okay. So if you want, you can add this point also. So purposefully I have skipped that point over there. Okay. So what is slack value? Slack value is the permissible delay period of an event, and slack values should be 0 for critical events. So write down this point. So for critical events, slack value should be 0. That is why we are writing again 12 here. So there is one reason. Okay. So 12 minus 12, it will be 0. So always your first and last events will be critical events. Okay. So hope you have understood this part, why we are writing 12 over there. Okay. So I am repeating the point. For critical events, slack values are 0. Maybe head slack or maybe tail slack. For critical events, slack values are 0. Okay, hope it is done. Definitely, this is your critical event. Obviously, your first and last events are critical events. That's why the slacks should be 0. Okay. Now we are using backward pass rule. Listen carefully. So in forward pass rule, what we have done? We have taken addition and maximum value we have taken. But in backward pass rule, we have to do subtraction and we have to take minimum value. Okay. So in forward pass rule, addition and you have to take maximum value, and in backward pass rule, it will be subtraction and we have to take the minimum value. Okay. This you have to keep in mind. Okay. So backward pass rule, we are moving in backward direction, right? That's why we have to subtract the things and we have to take the minimum value, right? So I am just doing this. 12 minus 5, it will be 7. Okay. So 7 minus 2, we can write 5 here, or 12 minus 4, we can write 8 here. Okay. Now among these two values, we have to take the minimum value, which will be 5. And next point and next part, so 5 minus 2, it will be 3. And 7 minus 3, it will be 4. 3 minus 2, it is 1. 4 minus 4, it will be 0. So among these two, minimum value is 0. So definitely you should get 0 here, okay. So here also your slack should be 0. So if you are not getting 0 here, maybe somewhere you might have done some mistake. You have to go back and you have to check your calculation part. So hope you have understood. This is your backward pass rule. So I am just writing for your reference, forward pass rule. So in forward pass, we have to take addition, comma, maximum value. Addition and we have taken maximum value here. And in backward pass rule, you have to take subtraction and minimum value. So please copy these statements also, because after some time you will be forgetting these things, okay, how to do. Someone is asking doubt, Kumar, why minimum value? That you have to check, okay. So forward pass rule, maybe you have understood why we are taking maximum value, because we have to complete all the activities at that particular node. That's why we are taking maximum value. So why we are taking minimum value, that you have to check. I mean, it is very difficult to explain over here. Still I will try. See, so if you are getting doubt like why we are taking minimum value, now take maximum value, okay. So now take maximum value and check what is happening or what's wrong here. If I take maximum value here, it will be what will happen to this part? this will be 8. Okay, that means latest start time is 8. Is it okay? Latest start time is 8. Latest start time is 8 for this particular activity. So now look at this activity, 4 to 5. 4 to 5. So already it is 12 minus 5. We are having only one value and we have taken 7 here. Right? Now, this is the latest start time for this particular activity, 4 to 5. And what is the latest finish time? It will become 7. See, latest start is 8 and latest finish is 7. Is it possible? It's not possible. Okay. So again, this is algorithm. So don't think much about this. So if you are getting doubt, you can check like this. So take 8 here. So latest start time is 8 and latest finish is 7, which is not true. Okay. So that is why it is wrong. Okay. So hope you got some clarity with this. Now what is this 12? This 12 itself is your project completion time. Now from this, can you tell what is the critical path here? From this network diagram, can you tell what will be the critical path? So please comment. What is the critical path over here? BDG. Okay. BDG. So here it will be BDG. It is your critical path. Okay. Why? You can see along this critical path, all the slack values are 0. Okay. And all the float values will also be 0. So 0, 0, slack is 0. Here also slack is 0. And here also your slack is 0. And again here, your slack will be 0. So among this critical path, your slack values are 0. So we are having one more method. We got one more method to calculate the critical path and its duration. So previously what we have done? We have listed the number of paths. Okay. And we have calculated the critical path duration. The path which is having maximum duration, that is your critical path. Right. Now using this forward pass rule and backward pass rule also, we can calculate the project completion time and we can find the critical path also. Okay. So this will be your critical path and this will be your project completion time. So maybe it is your wish which method should you use, that is your part. Okay. So maybe you can use that first method or maybe you can use this particular second method. But if in the question they are asking you to find the float values, then you cannot use the first method. You have to definitely use this particular second method only. So it is your convenience. So if you are feeling this method as simple, you can use this one, or else you can use the first method also. So it is possible. Whenever they are asking to find critical path and its duration, you can use maybe any of these two methods. But if they are asking you to find the float values, then definitely you have to use this particular method. Okay. Now, so let's calculate the float values now. So in the question they are asking us to calculate the total float value for activities E and F. So activity E. So where is your activity E? It is from 4 to 5. Activity E. 4 to 5. The duration is 2. And it is 4, 5. This is 7 and 7. So again I am repeating. Don't remember any formulas. Remember this diagrammatic representation. So total float will be from this point to this point. Total float plus Dij. Now it is 2. So total float plus Dij is equal to 7 minus 4, which is 3. So your total float value will be 1. So this is for activity E. So they are asking us to calculate total float value for activity F also. So calculate for F, it will be from 4 to 6. This is your activity F. So write down the values. For 4, this is 4, 5. 4 to 6, it is 12, 12. So again they are asking us to find the total float value only. So take this diagrammatic representation. So Dij value, it is 4, total float plus 4. So write down here total float plus 4 is equal to 12 minus 4, which is 8. So total float will be 8 minus 4, which will be, okay. So I am just moving to the next slide so that you can have a look at the options. So what is the correct answer? 1, 4, which is option B. So option B is your correct answer. So total float for E and F, it will be 1, 4. So please copy this, and if you are having doubts regarding this calculation, now you can ask. Okay. So previously, maybe after writing the formula, you got some doubts, right? How to calculate float values. Now just use this diagrammatic representation. Don't go for the formulas and calculate like this. So make it fast. Please copy this. So if you're having doubts, you can ask now. So hope it is done. So I'm just moving to the next question. So go through this question. Again, it is also a previous year question and try to solve this particular question. So in this question already they have given the network diagram. So no need to worry about the network diagram also. Just you have to use forward pass rule and backward pass rule. Calculate all those values, earliest start times, latest start times, earliest finish times and latest finish times. And then you can calculate the free float value. So in this question they are asking free float value. Again, don't remember formulas. Use the diagrammatic representation to calculate free float also. So free float value you have to calculate and you have to calculate the project completion time also. So same things which you have done in the previous question, you can repeat all those things as it is and calculate the project completion time and the free float for activity 4 to 6. Okay, option A, right? Free float value for 4 to 6 it is 2 and project completion time it is 13. Very good. Very good question. So significance you are asking for negative float. Okay, we will discuss that. Okay. So first let's solve this question. Then I will come to that part also, whatever you are asking. Okay. Fine. So already network diagram is given in the question. So for the people who are not solved, I am solving this. You can have a look at the board. 1 to 2 and then 2 to 5. So this is 3, 2 and 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 1 to 3 and then 3 to 6, 1 to 4, 4 to 6 and then 6 to 7, right? So this is 3, 2 and 3, 5, 2, this will be 5 and this is also 5 and this is 2, 4. Okay. So same representation I am taking. Earliest start, latest start, earliest finish, latest finish. Same notation I am taking here. Okay. So at time t equal to 0 I am starting. So 0 plus 3 it will be 3 and 0 plus 2 it will be 2. 0 plus 2 again it is 2. Right. So now 3 plus 2 it will be 5 and from here it will be 5 plus 3. You can write 8 here or else 2 plus 5, 7 or else 2 plus 4, 6. Okay. So it is forward pass rule, addition and maximum value you have to take. Maximum is 8. So 8 plus 5 it will be 13. So again you have to write 13 here because slack should be 0. 13 minus 5 it will be 8. 8 minus 3 it is 5. And 8 minus 5 it will be 3. 8 minus 4 it is 4. 4 minus 2 you can write 2 here or else. Okay, so here we have missed 5 minus 2. 5 minus 2 it will be 3. 3 minus 3 0 or else 3 minus 2 it will be 1. Okay. So among these minimum value is 0. You have to write 0 here. So now they are asking us to find the free float value for 4 to 6. So take down this activity 4 to 6. 4 to 6 it is 2, 4 and 8, 8. So duration is 4. So you have to calculate free float. It will be from this point to this point. So free float plus dij value it is 4. So free float plus 4 is equal to 8 minus 2. This is 6 and free float value will be 2. Okay. So free float value is 2 and project completion time is 13. So correct answer is option A. So any doubt in this calculation part? So is it okay? Now I am coming to your question. Okay. So someone was asking, so what does the negative float value signifies? Okay. So in general, negative float in the sense, so what is positive float? Positive float means you are having some delay period for that particular activity, right? So positive float signifies that you can delay particular activity. So let's take this negative float, okay, and then zero float and then positive float. Negative float says that you can delay that particular activity by that many number of days. What about zero float says? Zero float says that you cannot delay that particular activity, any activity. So if any activity is having zero float, you cannot delay that particular activity. Generally, critical activities will be having zero floats. Okay. Now the meaning of negative float is, negative float in the sense you are having some extra amount of time. Okay. So negative float signifies that the time period which you have allocated to that particular activity, it is not sufficient. Positive float means you are having some extra time, you can delay. Zero float, you cannot delay, you are having exactly sufficient time. Negative float means the time period which you are allocated to that particular activity, it is not sufficient. Okay, that means you have to recheck and you have to reallocate the resources. But in general, whenever we are using these methods and whenever we are calculating float values, definitely or never you will get negative floats. You will never get negative floats. Whenever you are using this forward pass rule, backward pass rule, and whenever you are calculating float values like this, you will never get negative floats. Okay. So negative float signifies that whatever the resources which you have allocated to that particular activity, it is not sufficient. You have to recheck and you have to reallocate the resources. In practical cases, these negative floats are possible, but theoretically, whenever we are discussing, negative floats are not possible here. Okay. So I hope I have answered your question. So some more. So please listen. I am repeating. Saurav, okay. So should I repeat? So briefly I will repeat, okay, if you want. So positive float says that extra time is there, you can delay. Negative zero float, no extra time. The time which you have given, it is sufficient, no delay. Negative float means the time which you have allocated, it is not sufficient. Okay, you have to recheck and we have to reallocate the resources. Okay, that is the meaning of negative float. But don't worry about negative floats. We will never discuss about negative floats, or we will never get negative floats whenever you are following these rules and whenever you are calculating float values. So theoretically, negative float never exists, but in practical cases or practical situations or in industries, this negative float value also exists. So let's go to the next question. So please listen, look at the secondary screen and just try to draw the network diagram for this particular question. So after that I will move to the next slide. So what is your work now? Just go through this one, go through this question and just draw the network diagram. Then I will go to the next slide. Then you will come to know what you have to find. Okay. So please do this part. Just construct network diagram. Very good, Dinesh. One dummy activity we have to use. So I am just constructing the network diagram. So please have a look at the board. So activity PQ are not having any predecessors. So you can start this activity. Let us say 1 to 2. It is activity P, and 1 to 3. It is activity Q. Okay. And they are saying that after completing Q, I have to start activity R. So after completing Q, I am starting activity R. Sorry. And after completing PR, I have to start S. So after completing PR, so take this dummy activity. So after completing activity P and R, so this node represents completion of activity P and completion of activity R. So after completing PR, I have to start activity S. Then after completing P, I have to start T. So after completing P, I am starting activity T. And after completing ST, so join ST at single node. Let us say this is 5. After completing ST, you have to start U. Let us say this is 6. Okay. So please check what are the network diagrams which you have done, which you have drawn. So please check whether it is correct or not, it is matching or not, or else you can check where you have done mistake. So that is very important. Okay. So you have tried, and whether if you have done any mistake, you can check here. So I am just moving to the next slide. Now you can read the question. So estimated durations are given in terms of days. Okay, so let's write the days also here. So for P it is 5 days, and for Q it is 1 day, for R it is 2 days, and for T it is 6 days, for S it is 4 days, and for U it is 3 days. Fine. So I'm just moving to the next slide so that you can have a look at the question. So the question says, if all the activities other than S take the estimated duration of the time, the maximum duration in weeks of the activity S without delaying the completion of the project. Now you have to find out the maximum duration for activity S without delaying the completion time of the project. So you have to find out the completion time first. Okay, then you can have a look at the question. So anyone, what will be the answer for this particular question? So just read this statement and just try to answer this question. So again, this question is also related to floats only, but they have given some statements in the form of some statements. Okay, so again, it is not a difficult or tough question, but just they have made this question a little bit tricky. That's all. Okay, so just try to answer this one. So read the statement very carefully. The maximum duration of the activity S without delaying the completion of the project. So you have to find out the maximum duration of activity S. So if you remember that particular example, while I have given the definition of floats, I have taken some paths and I have delayed activity S, I have delayed activity F, if you remember. Okay, so what was the maximum delay period? 7 days, initially from 4 days to 11 days we have delayed, I think. Okay, so maximum delay period was 7 days. It was like that. Kumar Vishwesh, very good. Okay, 6 is the correct answer. Saurav Kumar, you are saying we need to find the total float. So you are almost correct. Okay, so you are almost correct, but you are missing some part. So if you read the statement, what is total float? Total float is a delay period. Okay, total float is a delay period, but simply calculating the delay period, it is not the answer. You have to calculate the final time period of activity S. That means initial time period plus delay period or else float is equal to the final time period. You can calculate float, add the total float value to initial time period, which is 4 weeks. I think initial time period, it is 4 weeks, right, for activity S. So 4 weeks plus total float value, that will be your answer. Not simply total float. Because they are asking the final duration of activity S, not the delay period for activity S. So other people, just please try. Now already I have given you the approach. So I am just writing different paths here, okay. PTU, it is one path, and PSU, one more path, QRSU, it is one more path. So PTU, for this path it will be 5, 6 and 3. So 9 plus 5 it will be 14. P, S will be 4 and U will be 3. So 7 plus 5 it will be 12. And QR, so Q will be 1 plus 2 and S will be 4 plus U will be 3. 7, 8, 9, it will be 10. Now this will be your critical path. So I think only one got answer as 6. So, okay, so please listen, I am just solving this question. See, you can calculate total float value and you can add to initial that also. But whenever you are calculating total float value, what will happen? The calculations will become very lengthy, okay. No need to calculate total float value. So I have given you one approach, right? Initially when we were discussing the example for, whenever we are discussing about the definition of float values, I have given you one example, okay. So you can follow that approach. It will help you, it will try to simplify the number of steps, okay. So, so from the question they are asking us maximum duration of activity S. So I am just writing maximum duration of activity S is equal to initial duration plus maximum delay period. Okay. So initial duration plus maximum delay period. What is maximum delay period? Indirectly it is your total float value. Okay. So maybe you can calculate total float, but calculations will become lengthy. Don't calculate total float, okay. Just look at these 3 paths, okay. So in these 3 paths, they are asking or they are talking about activity S, okay. Now, activity S you are having in this path and in this path also, right. So, it is having a duration of 14. What is the next maximum duration? It is 12. Now, look at this path. So, activity S, it is having a duration of 4 days, okay. Now, what will happen if I make this to 5 days? This will become 13 and this will become 11. So I am just talking about delaying. So now initially your duration is 4. Now I am increasing the duration to 5 weeks. What will happen? This will become 13. As I am increasing the duration of activity S to 5 weeks. In this path also you are having activity S. So this will become 11. Okay. Now again I'm increasing this to, let us say 6 weeks. Activity S, I am delaying it to 6 weeks. Then what will happen? This will become 14 and this will become 12. Is it okay? Now whenever I am increasing the duration of activity S to 6 weeks, I am delaying it by 2 weeks, right? Now what is the final duration of activity S? It is 6 weeks. Now this is 14 and this is 12. Now you observe, you are having two critical paths now. Whenever you are delaying this particular activity S by 2 days, now you are having two critical paths. Okay. So in the question they have given one statement, right? Without delaying the completion of the project. You should not delay the completion of the project. Now what is the completion of the project? Initially it was 14. Now also it was 14. Now you are having two critical paths. That is a different issue. But your completion time has not been changed. Initially it was 14. Now also it is 14. Now if you delay this activity S by one more day, let us say if you make this 7, what will happen? This will become 15, this will become 13. Now if this is becoming 15, what will happen? Your critical path and project completion time is also changing. Okay. Now this project completion time will become 15 now. So it should not be changed as far as the question is given. Okay. Now how many weeks you can delay? You can delay by 2 weeks. Maximum 2 weeks you can delay and final completion time will be 6. Okay. So initial duration, or else you can take this as initial duration is 4 weeks and maximum delay period will be 2 weeks. It will be 6. Or else simply it is final completion time will be 6 weeks. Right. So if you calculate total float value, calculations will be increasing. You can follow this approach. In this approach, it will be very simple. So maybe I think you got some doubts in this. So please ask if you are having any doubts in this particular question. So again, it is a simple question, but what they have done is, instead of directly asking you to use total float or anything, they just have given some statement. So if you observe this one, so maximum delay without affecting the project completion time, that itself is the definition for total float. Okay, so they just have used the definition for total float and they have framed this particular question. So I hope it is clear, right? So with this we are done with CPM part. Again, little bit of, only one topic is left in CPM that we will discuss after completing PERT. Okay, because to understand that one, you need some knowledge about the PERT networks also. So we are done with CPM. Now we are starting with PERT networks. So you can keep heading. Next topic it is PERT networks